this only has like 80 lumens.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, you got yours, so
Yeah.
let me go.
Yeah, I put yours on the table in there.
Okay, and the DV, your old DV from the first show?
I put it away. Oh, you want
Can I
me to
use
copy it? Yeah.
I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna ask Bill to copy it for me while we're sitting.
Disjointed. Yeah, makes it better anyway. Walt?
John, your toast is done.
Oh, it's all spray. All the background. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, I went ahead and started that. All right, I'm ready when you are.
Want to wait for Walt, or should we just?
No, I think we should go. Well, am I good on the sound check? Everything's good? Hello, hello, hello.
Everything's good.
All right, yeah, let's get it going.
Okay, stand by.
Okay. Question for you. Are time-based diets the cure for obesity? We're going to talk about it tonight on Time to Get Fit. I'm John Pearlstone. I'm a trainer and fitness consultant, and I want to teach you tonight everything I can about time-based diets and why they have so much potential for really making an impact on the obesity crisis that nothing else has seemed to be able to stop. So let's dig in and take a look at what we have available for time-based diets. You can see that there are really two separate categories that I'm aware of for time-based diets. There is the EAT fitness program that started in 2008, stands for Eating and Exercise Timing, heavily based on timing concepts. And then there is a very popular movement called intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting, as their logo, you see that quite a bit, it shows, is heavily based on time of day. You pick a period of time where you can eat, and the rest of the time you fast. That's the overview of intermittent fasting. So for this particular show, I'm going to try to illustrate for you the differences between EAT and intermittent fasting, and along the way, you're going to learn a lot about time-based diets and their potential. So let's start with a little bit of the scientific community and what they have to say about time-based diets. There have been multiple studies of time-based diets over the last few years, and some of the results are extremely compelling, and it's hard to understand why they're not more popular and people don't know about them yet. But if you take a look, the first large-scale study from 2013, which was overseen and written up by Harvard University, showed that the time of days in which you eat your meal clearly affects weight loss effectiveness. And that was on humans. So that is something that can clearly have take-home value for people who are not paying attention to the timing of their meals currently. More recently, at the end of 2014, there was a study out of San Diego at the Salk Institute, which is a follow-up study to a number of prior ones on mice. And mice don't always translate to humans, that's fair to say. But the consistency with which they're seeing results for timing affecting the ability to lose weight, affecting the prevention of disease is remarkable. And the most recent study, which made national headlines, you may have heard of it, specifically they allowed these mice to eat whatever they wanted over a 12-hour period. And then they didn't eat over the corresponding 12 hours. And at the end of the study, it was conclusive. It wasn't close. The mice were healthier, they weighed less, and they had fewer markers of diabetes and other problems that the mice that were eating throughout the day had. And they did use a control group, so you really can see the difference. And there are endless studies. I mean, I've showed them on prior shows. Feel free to go check our prior shows on various timing topics, and you'll see the body of science that's growing about the effect of when you eat, which again, it's not what you eat, it's when you eat it is the entire foundation of the EAT program, and has a lot to do with intermittent fasting as well. So we don't want to spend our whole show talking about science. We want to get to some specifics and let you understand how these programs work and why they work, and then you can make decisions on if any of this stuff can actually benefit you in your life. So we've got a comparison for you that is fairly comprehensive. So we'll take our time and walk through it, try to highlight it. You're welcome. I'll put it on the website after the show, so you're welcome to go review it later. But let's hit some highlights here. The column on the left side would be the EAT fitness plan. On the right, you're looking at intermittent fasting. Now, there are at least 6 different types of intermittent fasting programs on the market today. So this is kind of a pull together, a consolidation of all their highlights. We can't cover every base in the short time we have to talk about it. But let's take a look. If you take a look at the goals of a time-based diet, with the EAT plan, we are trying to get you to 5-year weight loss. We're actually focused on getting past the science barrier that says no one can lose weight and keep it up for 5 years. So the entire purpose of the plan is to do that. When you talk about intermittent fasting, it is a program designed to focus on helping you lose fat. That's really what it's about, and the idea is you'll lose it quickly because it's pretty structured, and if you can maintain it, you'll see weight loss very quickly, and that is kind of the objective of the plan, as many diets have, but this one focuses more on time than on food choices. The method to reach the goals, that you're talking about the biggest difference in the programs. With EAT, we are a behavioral program, a behavioral diet, which we talked about in our last episode. Feel free to go watch all about the development of behavioral dieting and why it's so important. We are trying to apply time to every situation that you face to help you make a decision that you want to make to help you lose weight, get healthier, and be happy with your life. In other words, make sometimes the decision to eat more of the food that you want to eat, even though it might not be the best thing for weight loss on the scale, but it makes you happier and makes you happier to be willing to stay on a diet. So all about behavioral. When it comes to intermittent fasting, there's really no behavioral element. The idea, there are some benefits in the fact that you know when you should eat, when you shouldn't eat, but the whole game is about metabolism and getting your metabolism to operate in a way that will burn more fat and help you lose weight and get more healthy. So that is a fundamental difference. EAT is a behavioral diet. We put behaviors first because that's what the New England Journal of Medicine said works. Intermittent fasting says we want to see weight loss, we want to see fat loss. Here's the most efficient way to get it by portioning out our time to an eating time and a non-eating time. Moving on, we got restrictions and requirements. Okay, with the EAT program, as hard as it may be for people who have done a lot of diets to believe, there are no restrictions on the EAT fitness plan. You can eat what you want when you want. And the concept is to try to learn to create menus that make it where what you want, when you want it, makes you happy, but also creates some weight loss and fitness. That can take time to learn, but that's how it works. We do not put any restrictions on you at all because we want you to do the behaviors you enjoy doing, and restrictions prevent that. With regard to intermittent fasting, the restrictions and requirements are time. They're saying, look, pick your window. Some plans go 4 hours, some plans go 8 hours. This is when you eat, and then you need to stop. One of the more popular programs is called Eat, Stop, Eat. And it's not kidding. When you stop, you don't eat anything. But that is a strong restriction and a big difference between the EAT behavioral approach and the intermittent fasting metabolic approach. In terms of health risks, and this is controversial, let's just put this up front and make sure people are clear. The health risks are not concrete on either program, but I put the ones that are most commonly referred to. With EAT, you have a risk of overeating throughout the day. You don't have any rules to prevent you from eating what you want when you want it. And therefore, you do have a risk of overeating. Once you learn about timing and you learn how to manage it better, that can be controlled. But it's a risk, and it could affect your health, and you need to know it going in. The primary risk on intermittent fasting is that you are depriving yourself. You're depriving yourself for periods of time, and that certainly, I think anyone who's done any dieting can understand that creates a rebound effect, which can certainly lead to binge eating. Everyone I talked to in preparing for this program said they had major issues with binge eating when they first started intermittent fasting and still experience it to this day. So that's something that has to be accounted for if you're wanting to get the benefits of intermittent fasting. There also are some issues for diabetics because you're going long periods of time without eating, and blood sugar regulation can be affected, clearly, either low or high. So you have that issue to deal with. And there's really no clear exercise plan. While most intermittent fasting plans recommend exercise, they don't really have a good standard program that really fits the intermittent fasting model for everybody. So it's a risk because if you're not going to encourage exercise, the studies are clear. People who don't exercise don't end up staying as healthy. So you'd want exercise built into your program. The biggest strengths of the two programs. With EAT, there's just no overvaluing the fact that when you have no restrictions and you learn how to deal with no restrictions, you take the belt off, you take the chains off, you get rid of the safety net, you get rid of all guilt. It's exactly how people behave when they decide they're going to stop being on their diet. They don't want to deal with the stress, they don't want to deal with the guilt, and that's what EAT has built into the program, is to say, look, why not make a part of your plan to do that so you never have to go off your diet? It's a hard concept to grasp, it takes time and education, but it eliminates guilt, and the people who have been successful with it can certainly attest to that. They feel completely differently about food. The biggest strengths of a intermittent fasting program, and why, frankly, it's a lot more popular and known right now than the EAT timing diet, is it's very clear. You eat, you don't eat. This is how it works. And if you want to see some fast weight loss, pick a time, follow our plan's rules, and in most cases, I see there's some incredible examples of significant fat loss through intermittent fasting that have been successful for years. I mean, it's hard to argue. Time is very powerful, and it worked. But most people, we found, can't stay with it, and that's certainly one of the biggest weaknesses we're about to talk about. So the clear rules is really great, and the no food restrictions on both plans is really great because people wish they could give up the foods that they love, but most people find they can't. And so by restricting them, you're just creating a trap that you're going to fall into later. So if you get rid of it up front, it's a better program. It's that simple. It's something now you can find ways to succeed with all your favorite foods built right into the plan. The biggest weaknesses of both plans. With EAT, it is clear. It is a long learning curve. You're not going to understand all the ways to manage eating everything you want to eat in whatever amount you want to eat it, whenever you want to eat it, truly, and no required exercise. You're not going to understand how to manage all that the day you get your information about how to do the EAT fitness plan or the day you have your first consultation if you did an individual consultation. It doesn't work like that. We're looking for 5 years or longer weight loss, and we'll see a little bit later what that means in terms of how worried are we about what you lose in the first week or the first month. Take a step back, think about your diets. Think about everything I've shown you in months of prior episodes. Losing weight fast on a diet is a huge indicator of weight gain over time. So this idea you're going to lose weight fast and be able to keep it off, you're usually doing it in ways you cannot tolerate, you'll gain it back. We've gotten rid of all that. The idea is we're going to give you a behavioral model that lets you do the things you want to do. We're going to help you schedule, help you time them, and you're going to find that you can manage them for the long term. The people who do the learning come out with that result, and we've got a great success rate for people who put a few months into the education process and they don't really worry about what they lose in the short term. Now, with regard to the weaknesses of intermittent fasting, we could talk about all of them, and they all have a meaning. I mean, I think not focusing on blood markers is a big oversight. It can become dangerous for diabetics. It can become dangerous for cholesterol or blood pressure if you don't have that knowledge of how to manage it built into your plan, which EAT does include. But the restrictions on intermittent fasting, where you're telling your body this is the only time you can eat, and some people's windows are as small as 4 hours. Some people do it by day. They can eat freely on one day, and the next day they can only eat 500 calories or 600 calories. That program's actually out there, very popular now, called the 5-2 diet. Getting a lot of publicity, does tend to improve health markers. People can't stay with it. The restrictive days are so overbearing that people can't enjoy 5 free days and 2 painful days. It's even that difficult when you put restrictions on a diet plan, and that is supported by the science, I might add. But even intermittent fasting with a window each day where it's 8 hours that you can eat and then 16 hours that you're supposed to fast, most people just cannot find the way to make that work. It goes for a while, maybe a little longer than many of the other calorie counting or point counting plans, or when you start giving up food groups, but it doesn't last long term, and that is what EAT's all about. So at least in understanding these differences, trying to decide what program may work for you, if you want to take advantage of the great science that's supporting time-based diets right now, you have to decide, do I want my best chance for 5-year weight loss, or do I want to see something in 30 days? And that might influence your decision on which of these programs is stronger. So that's a good, thorough overview of some of the highlights. Obviously, the plans are a lot more involved, but hopefully you get a good picture. And the EAT program was based on the New England Journal of Medicine study of studies that clearly showed that behavioral issues are more important than metabolic or nutritional issues. What you choose to do in the moment will be the determinant of your success on a diet, not if you say I'm only going to eat 4 hours a day. Because some days you're going to be faced with challenges where you might want to eat 6 hours, or you've already eaten and then something else comes up. And how do you handle that? That's what really is the determinant of your success, not, oh, this is great, I've eliminated, some sort of red meat was a big issue in the last week. There were some articles about you got to get rid of red meat to stay healthy and to really achieve the most efficient metabolism and weight loss. Well, again, if you love red meat and you're constantly being faced with it, behavioral decisions will carry the day way more than you deciding that every time you take a bite of red meat, you're going to have a heart attack. That is exactly what makes people not want to diet and end up fatter and less healthy than they ever had to be because they define things in such a way. Just telling you what the science reports, and again, we've got tons of background information on a variety of prior episodes, so check that out. Why should you focus on behavior? I do want to take a moment on this again. We talked about it in the whole prior episode, but you want to focus on behavior because your life involves events. Your life involves holidays. Your life involves vacations. Your life involves being out there in a world that is just loaded with food challenges and relaxation opportunities. And